Hello and welcome back to another episode of White Album 2. We are currently playing through Mari-san's route of the closing chapter. Takeya has been giving Haruki an earful about cheating on Setsuna, which boggles me because they're not even dating at this point. And, of course, Mari-san and Sawako are gossiping about what just happened.
できるかそんなこと。
好きな相手だったんだからできるでしょそのくらい。
なんで沢子はそんなにあけすけなのよ。あんたの頭の中にはセックスのことしかないの？
マリこそ今さら何順序ぶってんのよ。昨べまで生娘だったわけじゃなし。マリ？
生娘とかあんたいつの時代のおばさんよ。もうわけわかんない。
あんたもしかして。
とにかくね、私の言いたいことは聞いてる？
何よお猿さん。
セツナにはできない。セツナにだけは勇気が持てない。
お前な、それどっちの相手にとってもひどい言い方だぞ。
No matter what, I can't bring myself to want Setsuna. But as for Mari-san, I'd end up wanting her, which itself is cruel to Setsuna.
それも分かってる。それでもセツナは特別だから。
いい意味でも悪い意味でもな。
The cruelty of not having crossed a line I should have. The arrogance of having crossed a line I shouldn't have. I've treated the both of them in a special way, but the difference in how I treated each of them has resulted in me betraying the both of them.
セツナと二人だと前に進めない。相手が後ろを振り返ってるんじゃないかって気になって、気がついたら自分が後ろを振り返ってる。
No matter how hard I try to pave the way forward, I somehow end up proceeding in the wrong direction before I know it. When I realized that, I'd already destroyed the wrong target. I swung my blade to cleave apart the obstacles that divided Setsuna from me, only to end up cutting into her instead before I even realized it. That's just how things have been for the two of us.
それに俺は、今の俺はさ、最低なほどに心が揺れてる。
その年上の彼女のこと
普通に好きだなって感じてる。
そうか。
I don't think I'm only fleeing from Setsuna, but that I am genuinely attracted to Mari-san. There you go. It's just that with the direction that I've gone in, just by fleeing from Setsuna, I feel comfortable as I am now.
輪をかけて最低だよな、俺。
No, what? Oh my god, this is what it means to move on.
なあ、聞いてもいいか？
なんだ？
お前が話す彼女の性格とか聞いてるとさ、どうしても一人の女の名前が浮かんでくるんだけど。
否定はしないよ。
It's only natural that Takeya notices it. After all, even I've noticed it too.
お前って本当にああいうきつめの女に弱いな。
Toma Kazusa, now just a part of my history.
あいつの時もお前、出会ってすぐにのめり込んでたもんな。ま、近しから聞いた話だけどよ。
She was an excellent student in some ways, and an extremely poor student in others. She stood above the rest in some ways, though in turn she always stuck with that aloof air of hers all the time. She's far from being a perfect replica of her, and she's a completely different woman. But those pretty narrow eyes, that self-confident attitude, that mouth of hers which just isn't good at conveying her own feelings. I'm being pulled back into my memories whether I like it or not. I'm falling back in love with her.
ハルキ、お前はさ、セツナちゃんのことを引きずってるだけじゃなく、 トーマの面影にまで翻弄されてるんだよ。
You know what? Sometimes it doesn't have to be that deep. If you like girls who are assertive and dominant, you like girls that are assertive and dominant. It doesn't need to mean, oh, you're just looking for a replacement Toma. No, it's just your type.
トーマのことは話したよ。気づかれてるよ。
そういや、一緒にトーマの記事書いたんだっけ？お前そんなこと話してよく振られなかったな。
それでも受け入れてくれたんだ。だから俺
いやー、でも春樹くん捕まえられてよかったね、マリー。
今度余計なこと言ったら着信拒否にするわよ。
本当にそう思ってるのよ。あんたの仕事廃人ぶりを知ってて、それでも追いかけてくれる男なんて他にいないよ。怒った？
うん、そっちに関しては自覚あるし。
今度こそ絶対に逃がしちゃダメよ。ちゃんと末永くいい関係作るのよ。
理解するように努力するって言ってく。
のろけるな。日曜夜中に一人仕事してる親友に向かって
悪いけど電話かけてきたのもしつこく聞いてきたのもそっち。
でもさ、せっかく幸せの絶頂にいるところ悪いんだけど、大丈夫なのマリー？
うん、多分大丈夫。早くて来年じゃないかな。
ならいいんだけどさ、どのみち約束か既成事実は早めにね。いつの間にか黙って否認やめとくのも手だよ。
No. Listen, don't do that. That's horrible.
サワコ
とにかくおめでとうマリー。じゃあね。
That's terrible. Even just to say that is terrible.
こらもうなんいけな。さっさとパンツ履かないと。
What were you doing?
じゃなかった。服着ないと。
竹谷、起きてるか？
寝てるに決まってんだろ。寝言言わせんなよ。
My neither fun, nor forward-facing, nor resolute topic of conversation would not improve even with snacks or alcohol. Takeya promptly dragged out a blanket, and then we turned off the lights and looked up at the darkness of the ceiling.
なあ、教えてくれ。俺はどうやって刹那に償ったらいい？
知るかよそんなこと。それを考えて苦しむのも償いの一つだろ。
My thoughts have been going in circles for quite some time. My mind's too awake to let my body get the rest it should be having, and it's likely that I won't get any proper rest until tomorrow.
でもそうだな、一つだけヒントをやろう。刹那ちゃんを悲しませない方法はたった一つ。お前が厚顔無知の嘘つき野郎を演じ続けることだ。
Ouch. In other words, the ultimate kind of foul play. What? I'm just like boggled. Let Haruki move on. And if Haruki's truly like, oh, I still love Setsuna, I still want to be with Setsuna, well then you did a terrible thing to Mari-san, but honestly, it just felt like he had started to move on. That night on Christmas Eve, we said we would redo everything. A passionate lie that brought us to tears. I've not said anything since January arrived. After that, after all, nothing has happened.
俺にできるわけないって分かってて言ってるだろ。
だから苦しめって言った。俺に聞いたって無駄だって言ったんだ。
Cheating on Setsuna, and then saying I would redo everything without any proper judgment. I doubt my heart would be able to tolerate what would come in the end. Even so, I don't have the audacity nor the courage to expose everything to the light of day, to properly come to a conclusion, to close up small wounds, or to make her feel relieved.
苦しんでのたうち回ってそれで出した結論なら俺はもう文句言わない。イオにも言わせない。
Takeya.
If that's the case, I basically didn't have the ability to make a choice from the very beginning.
せつなと会うよ。もう一
そうか。
There's nothing to do except expose everything to the light of day. And with that, everyone will be hurt. There was no reason for there to be any further consequences. I was the one who reduced everything to only include this possibility. After all, while I was drowning in pain, Mari-san, who extended a helping hand, ended up getting dragged down to the bottom of the sea because of me. No, she didn't. She had a great time. She loves you.
来週会う。何もかも話す。
試験前だぞ。終わるまで待った方が。
ダメだ。今話さないと結局話せなくなる。知ってるだろ。俺は卑怯なんだよ。
そっか。
What are you gonna say to this poor girl? Be like, hey, I know you dumped me and we're having trouble moving on, but I slept with another woman. But like, come on. In the end, I wonder if the timing of our talk will hurt Setsuna. Yeah, you think? Truly, it seems our fate was artistically written quite terribly in the stars.
なあ、Takeya。
ん？
俺たちの結論がたとえどんなものでもさ、イオと二人でセツナの力になってやってくれよな。
そんなのはお前に言われなくても織り込み済みだ。3年前からずっとやってる。
本当にひどいやつだな、俺。
今頃気づくな。今さら反省するな。
おやすみ。
Our conversation ended abruptly amidst a gentle, albeit dry atmosphere. In this darkness, I can't tell whether Takeya has already shut his eyes or if he's still staring at the ceiling. After all, I've already shut my own eyes. I'll meet with Setsuna. I'll tell her everything about this whole month, including Mari-san. I'll tell her that I became lost after I fell out with her, and how I've arrived at a situation that I never could have imagined back then. After that, I'll talk to Mari-san. I'll tell her about the last 3 years, about Setsuna, about that night on Christmas Eve, that night where I made that grave mistake, and the night where I became alone. While I had 3 chances to talk to her, my feelings for Mari-san had grown so much that I couldn't talk about the past that meant everything to me. To Mari-san, it might be too annoying, sudden, indecisive, or it might make her think I'm making a fool of her. Nevertheless, I have to talk to her, and there's nothing that can be done if she can't muster any more affection for me. Perhaps she may even start throwing plates and glasses at me. I may be seriously overthinking this, though. He really needs to think about how he's going to explain this to Mari. Are you going to say, oh, I cheated on you? Or are you going to be like, hey, I have these really confusing feelings about this girl because of this incident, and I just want you to know that I talked to her and it's over and I love you. You know, like, it depends how he presents it. Still, I have no option but to do this. Because when that time comes, I will have to choose a future. I will have to choose someone. Sorry I'm late. Thanks for the text. I saw you on campus last Wednesday. I wasn't sure if you were well or not, but after seeing that you actually were, I felt a little relieved. I wanted to call out to you, but I decided not to. It looked like you were talking with someone on the phone. No, that's just an excuse, isn't it? I just didn't have the courage to call out to you. I ended up wondering if I really had the right to talk to you. And once the thought popped up in my mind, my feet wouldn't take another step toward you anymore. That's why I'm really happy that you texted me. Thank you so much. I'll be sure to live my life normally too. Even now, I still remember what happened that time every single day, and each time I do, I feel hurt. Despite that, I still wake up in the mornings and eat my meals. I still go to university every day. I'm okay. And you're okay too, right, Haruki-kun? The exams are coming up soon, aren't they? Let's both give it our best. Anyway, good night. I'll text you again tomorrow. Last Wednesday, I was talking to someone on my phone while on campus. There's no doubt about it. That call was with... Same here, thanks. Mari-san, who I promised to meet, an essential piece of what makes up this crossroad of destiny. Thanks for the text. I'm happy to hear you're doing well too, Setsuna. But you should have called out to me when you saw me. Having the right, the courage, those things are completely unnecessary. Just kidding. Of course I can't say that. If I were in your shoes, I guess I'd end up thinking the same thing and being frozen as well. However, I do think that it would end up differently, even if the difference would be minimal. If only Setsuna could have called out to me back then. If only I could have told her everything.
こっちはあと1ページで考慮。どうやら今回も印刷所に土下座するのはあんたみたいね、浜田。
なんでことごとく俺の一歩だけ先を行きやがる。どっちも締め切りぶっちしてるってのに。
週末に日をまたがず帰れる幸せ。普段の頑張りってこういうところで実を結ぶのよね。
With the way I am right now, how was there ever a time when I was really so deeply in love with this person? Also, I wrote this in my last text too, but I'd like to meet with you in person and talk as soon as possible. How about tomorrow? Anytime is fine, so do you think you could free up some time in your schedule? It's about something important. I'll be waiting for your reply. See you. It's as if I made two crucial, yet completely opposite decisions within this 1 week. No, I shouldn't be trying to excuse my current circumstances with the trivial decisions she's made. Even though it's all my fault for lacking integrity. Sorry, Setsuna.
ああ、北原くん彼女にメール送ってる。
And at the moment I was about to press send, my problem was pointed out by a completely uninvolved person beside me.
いっけないんだ。仕事中だぞ。マリさんに言いつけちゃうから、いろんな意図で。
鈴木さんの指示待ちで暇なんです。言いつけるなら勝手にどうぞ。
本質から目をそらしてるでしょ。
目をそらしてるのは鈴木さんでは。それにいろんな意味でもう手遅れです。
何その余裕ある態度。本当に告げ口しちゃうぞ。あまり私の人の良さを信じすぎない方が。二人とも楽しそうね。仕事のない人にはさっさと帰ってもらって、仕事の終わらない人にはさっさと死んでもらおうかしら。
Wow.
なんで教えてくれないの？北原くんどっちの味方よ。
俺を脅そうとする人の味方じゃないことだけは確かです。
For the most part, her time of ridiculing others was long over.
真面目な話、あとどれくらい残ってるの？鈴木、あなたもしかして浜田を笑えない状況？マリさん、マリさん、私辛かったの、苦しかったの。そのわざとらしい慟哭はともかくとして、どうやらこっちはフォローしないとまずいみたいね。2ページ丸々残ってるんです。しかも半分は綺麗に真っ白なの。
Suzuki-san was trying to escape from reality.
わかった。こっちは私が入るから、北原はもう上がっていいわよ。
いや、でも。
It's 10:30 p.m. right now. Usually the office stays open for about an hour more on average. To be told to go home this early, this is a warning sign to me that something bad has happened.
二人もフォローに入ると帰って遅くなるのよ。そっちに回す仕事切り出してるより、私が全部片付けた方が早いし。それに彼女を待たせてるようだし、これ以上拘束するのも悪いからな。
Well, just as I thought.
というわけだ。お疲れ様、北原。次のバイトは試験が終わるまで来なくていいから。
いや、ですね、マリさん。
お疲れ様でした。
Suzuki-san looked quite apologetic as she stood behind Mari-san with her cheeks stiff and her hands placed together. Her cheeks were stiff to the point that I wondered if she could even move them to apologize.
それじゃあ俺、失礼します。
会社を一歩出たら好きなだけメールでも電話でもすればいい。良い週末を。
はい。
It was inevitable that I would be told to go home early and to not come to work for a bit. However, there was one depressing, troublesome thing that would come of this. From here on, I won't be able to see her, so how am I supposed to reply to Mari-san?
あ、そうそう、北原。お前にだけグアム土産まだだったな。
確かにもらってませんけど、別にいいですよ。どうせまた。
ほら、とっておきだ。編集部の誰もが恐れ多くて手に取ることもできなかった一品だぞ。
It sounds like it's just a terrible item.
これはまた。
I wanted to tell her that she had chosen a tasteless mascot figurine, but the figurine in itself looked so ominous that I was unable to say that. I imagine it's something that's condemned many in the past by granting their desires in exchange for a grave price or some such.
当然、受け取るよな。
喜んで。
I suppose this is a testament to just how much I've sinned up until now. And I imagine I've messed up so horribly this time that I won't even be able to give Mari-san a follow-up call, judging from when she's going to be back. Is this?
さっさと帰れ。寄り道なんかするなよ。
Leaving me with that sharp remark, Mari-san had already turned her back to me, and I was unable to see her expression.
「ただいま。
おかえりなさい。
モニターの下の解錠ボタンを押してくれ。私鍵持ってないんだ。さっきお前に渡したやつしか。
Adorable. With that, Mari-san waved cheerfully at me through the screen in our apartment which I was in. The screen being the computer screen.
いる。北原、本当にいるよ。
Most apartments in Japan, if you ring the doorbell, it'll actually show the person's face on a little monitor. Pretty much every apartment will have that.
いなかったらどうするつもりだったんですか？
Mari-san points her finger at me and laughs delightedly as I greet her from within her own apartment. Her displeasure from when we were back at the editorial department forgotten.
ホテルで寂しく一人寝するか。いつもの店で朝まで焼け酒か。
I wonder what would have happened if I didn't get the meaning of the key attached to the key holder she gave me back then. No, even if I did realize that she was trying to tell me your girlfriend is waiting for you in the first place, Mari-san wouldn't have been able to enter her apartment tonight, and probably would have spent the rest of the weekend in a rather miserable way, and in more ways than one.
なんでそんな意味不明な賭けをするんですか、あなたは。
いや、明日というか今日か休み取ろうって決めてたからさ。じゃん。
そういうことを聞いてるんじゃ。
本当はメールで誘おうとしてたんだけど、北原は彼女とのやりとりで忙しそうだったし。
彼女なんかじゃないですよ。
もしそうだったら今頃こんなところになんかいないよな。
I'm smiling right now, aren't I? Mari-san looks cute with that innocent smile. An uncontainable feeling is welling up inside me, and yet right now, I can't come to grips with the reality that I happily accept these feelings. To such a pure smile toward me, that's too careless of you, Mari-san.
今日も一日中走り回って疲れた。足が棒みたい。
As usual when we're together, Mari-san flops onto her bed on her back, completely defenseless.
なあ、北原。
お腹空いてるでしょ。簡単なものなら作りますけど。
疲れてるって言っただろ。それってもうベッドから出たくないって意味だぞ。
マリさん。
疲れたんだよ、北原。私を気持ちよくさせてくれよ。
Very direct. Those charming lips of hers, her seductive words, and those bewitching eyes that spoke on their own pierced right through me. And I'll be back with you when it's safe for work once again. Welcome back. So, it wasn't very long. They just spent some good time together, and nothing crazy or terrible happened. No big introspective thoughts from Haruki, which for once, I'm thankful for.
それで、今そっちには誰がいるの？
Does seem that he missed a call, however.
品田さん捕まらない？デスクは？ああ、そっか。九州だっけ？わかった。とにかく30分でそっち行くから。あ、ごめん。裏の奥止めて。自分ですべきこと確認しただけよ。誰もいないってば。
As I fixed the hook on her back, Mari-san spoke with a speed that my hands could not match. As to why she's holding the phone with her shoulder and putting on stockings at the same time, it's because she's trying to deal with concerns from the editorial department simultaneously. And she's dealing with the neighboring department at that.
それじゃあ私が着くまでに関係各所への連絡できるだけ済ませておいて。できれば編集長にも一報お願い。
After pulling up her stockings up to her thighs, she stood up while still on the phone and pulled them up even further to cover her stout bottom. The part that I had just kissed and touched.
それじゃあ。はいはい、慌てないの。大丈夫。絶対に間に合わせてみせるから。じゃあ。
And as she stood up following the end of her phone call, she lightly slapped her face several times and stretched as far as she could.
終わった後でよかった。
Looking up, she raised a cry that could be interpreted as resentment or relief. It was 4 a.m.
よくそんなに元気でいられますね。
I say that even though she was so wild in my arms just a while ago.
仕事なんだからテンション上げてかないと。特に大トラブルって血がたぎらない？
No.
そういうものですか。
Her actions and her expressions, the way that nothing is ever impossible for her, both are a result of her strength and kindness.
それにほら、短い間だったけど北原と一緒に過ごせたからいろいろと満たされたし。
Mari-san, who was still only wearing her underwear, hugged me tightly as I still sat on her bed. I can detect the scent of Mari-san's skin and sweat, and the slightest hint of my own smell.
特にほらタンパク質とかな。
Protein, wow.
そういうの控えてください。マリさんはもともとジョー君が親父臭いんですから。
Well, everyone calls Haruki an old man too, so I guess they're fitting.
そういうこと言われるたびに私がお前との年の差に苦しむって分かってるのか？
年齢的な問題じゃありません。センスの差です。
お前それって女に対して最低な。
ほら急いでるんですよね。早く行かないと30分以内に着きませんよ。
Alright, we will stop there for today. Thank you so much for being here on this episode of Mari-san's chapter, and I'll be back with more in the future. Until then, I hope you take care. See you!